Ah! Again! I can't believe my stream cut out again! So much stress! So much stress! Alright. So I think ultimately, I'm going to have to take all parts of this live stream and edit it together as a video and release it probably on Monday, maybe. Or tomorrow. But yeah, help everybody get back. I'm so sorry. It's really bad. Error, 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 error. Yeah, thanks. I know, this is really upsetting. Like I said, I'm gonna take this all and, like, edit it together as a video. Chase that youngin'. That youngin' be like a grease pig. Yeehaw! Chase ya, grease pig. Get her on the bed now. Go on, get. That's so lovely. I really want to be a dad someday. Saving the grease for the weekends. No, seriously though, I really do want to be a dad someday. You know, the proposition of being a mom, that was always shown to me. I'm like, no, something about being a dad sparks an interest in raising children for me. Not being a mom, but just like being the dad. Like, I'm like, that feels good. Something about that feels good. Like, I think I would be a good dad. And a fun dad. And most of all, an embarrassing dad. Could look into fostering. Yeah, you know, see, when I imagine myself fathering, I don't know about fostering, but definitely adopting or partnering with somebody who just wants to co-parent and not necessarily have a relationship. See, I'd be in for that too. But yeah, dad. I'm a dad. I'm definitely dad material. So, anyways, I really want to get to the meat of this subject. And especially now that we had to restart twice. Anyways. Yes! Loud, level, embarrassing dad. Yes! Honey, I'm gonna drop you off to school blasting the good old times. Anyways. I'm so bummed about the stream collapse. So, let's do it. Let's talk about the reason why billionaires shouldn't exist. And 5 reasons why billionaires shouldn't exist, I feel like, is a very good article. So let's get into it. 5 reasons why billionaires shouldn't exist. A billionaire is a weird concept. To their supporters, they're the epitome of success, an indication of what someone can achieve. An indication of what someone can achieve if they have the right talent, work ethic, and ingenuity. To their detractors, billionaires are nothing more than a policy failure. Very interesting there. So in this concept, in this article, we're going to talk about billionaires being a technical policy failure, which I think is really interesting because it's a sort of look into things that I haven't seen much of before, where it's like mostly moralistic, which is still in here. Yes, very much that flavor is still in there, that seasoning is still there, but within the technicalities of business practice, for a billionaire to exist would equal a policy failure in business practice. That's where I'm very interested, and that's kind of a direction I want to swirl my finger in and poke in and get into more. Swirl. Anyways. The very worst of capitalism and epitome of greed is the billionaire, which is a policy failure. Is it okay to have millions struggling to survive when a small number of people hoard a huge amount of resources? Well, of course not. In this article, I set out 5 reasons why billionaires should not exist. How much is a billion? $1 billion. Firstly, let's try to wrap our heads around just how much a billion is. And in this sense, I feel like they're talking about a billion in UK money. A billionaire is a billionaire to me. I don't care where you are. Once you're a billionaire in the world, you're a billionaire in the whole fucking world. So, anyways. Firstly, let's try to wrap our heads around just how much a billion is. We hear it a lot. But have we ever stopped to think about how much it really is? In the UK, we have traditionally had 2 definitions, a long scale and a short scale. And since 1974, we have primarily used the short scale, in line with the rest of the world. A short scale billion is 1,000 million, or to put it in another way, 1 billion is a millionaire 1,000 times over. So you take a millionaire, somebody who owns $1 million, and you do that 1,000 times. Because when you're a millionaire, you owe maybe 1 million. If your net worth is over $1 million, you're a millionaire. If you owe a few $100 million, you're a millionaire. If you get to sorry, I'm having a mind fart. Anyway, so I had a genuine mind fart, sorry. Anyways, so when you get a millionaire you've got like $1,000 million, that's too much. Do you really need $1,000 million? Do you really need $1,000 million? Anyways, and that's 1 billion. Most billionaires have multiple billions, and Jeff Bezos has over 100 billion at the time of writing. And what was this time? 2020. I don't know if he is increased. Has he increased? Or let's see. Hold on. What is Jeff Bezos? Jeff Bezos net worth. 120.6 120.4 billion. 120.4 billion. Do I think Jeff Bezos deserves to make more money? Absolutely. Wait a minute, why? He had a great idea, innovated it, and made himself a fortune, but is he 2 million times smarter? More innovative than the average American? Does he offer society 2 million times what a nurse or a teacher does? No. Absolutely not. That's my answer to that question. Oh, I missed the whole fucking paragraph. Okay, so we can look at it another way. The average British worker needs to work almost 400,000 years to 400,000 years to earn the same amount as the richest Britain. In the US, the average American needs to work 2.8 million years to earn the same as Jeff Bezos, while the lowest paid American workers should have to work almost twice as long as that to learn how much their boss has made. Do I think Jeff Bezos deserves to make more money? Okay, that makes sense. When I skipped the paragraph, it made it sound like, does he deserve to make more money than 120 billion? No. Anyways, in the sense that, does Jeff Bezos deserve to make more money than the average American? And this guy who's writing the article is saying absolutely. He had a great idea, innovated, and made himself a fortune. But is he 2 million times smarter, more innovative than the average American? Does he offer society 2 million times what a nurse or a teacher does? No. No, 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 no. I understand that many of these billions are linked to the values of a company and isn't the cash these individuals actually have to hand. And these billions are set by the market, but these companies, like their founders, benefit from favorable tax as well as loopholes and policy environments that distort the share of wealth. My issue isn't making money and getting rich. That's a cornerstone of a capitalist society that has raised living standards quicker than any point in history. I don't have anything against the rich, but a billionaire? That's different. Okay, so that's an interesting paragraph, and I have similar feelings as just me, as an individual. This is just my personal opinion. It's not like set in stone as like Hyperian gospel, but like, I don't have any problem with rich people or people who are making a lot of money more so than the average person. What I have a problem with is when you're making so much more money than the average person that you become your own individual, like, unique class of person. A billionaire. Like, a millionaire, that's actually really common. That's not very questionable. That's not very concerning to me. But a billionaire is very concerning to me. And especially when you incorporate the publicity with that, and how they sort of delegate themselves to the public as humanitarians, and not just any humanitarian, like the humanitarians of the world that are there to help everybody. And it's like, wait a minute, are you, or are you just trying to give a image of what you want humanity to see you as? Anyways. My issue is with unregulated capitalism and an economic system that has allowed a handful of people to amass power far beyond what they have fairly earned. Yes! I think that describes it so perfectly. The thing about billionaires is just because they have that much money does not mean that they are meritocratically the best position for helping humanity. Does that make sense? Just because they have the money that can help humanity doesn't mean they're the best person for it. And in most cases, and in fact, pretty much in all cases, they are the worst person for the job. So let's read that again. My issue is with unregulated capitalism and an economic system that has allowed a handful of people to amass power far beyond what they have fairly earned. They have not earned They have not earned it to delegate decisions on behalf of humanity. They really haven't. They're just like Joe Schmoes, like fucking clowns. Capitalism, when done right, works. I don't know about that. That's a whole other topic. I don't mind capitalism a little bit, but there's definitely some fucking flaws with it right now. So, anyways, capitalism, when done right, works, and I don't think there's a better system out there. Questionable. But a billionaire is a grotesque, monstrous conquest of capitalism done wrong. Woo, preach it now. A billionaire is nothing more than an error, a policy failure. Preach it now. Some are probably reading this now, rolling their eyes and thinking another hater blaming billionaires for his own failures. As I've mentioned in other articles, I've worked my way from under the official UK poverty line, from a single-parent household, out of council houses, and into a job that places me comfortable in the top quartile of UK earners. I'm living comfortable regardless. I'm good. Heck, ow, that really hurt. I tried to snap my finger and it's my bad finger and it hurts. It still hurts. Anyways, but the poverty I've seen along the way makes me pretty frustrated at a system that allows one person to hoard so much wealth while so many others are struggling to survive. In this article, I'm going to debunk the 5 most popular myths about that people spout in support of the concept of a billionaire. Okay, so let's get into it. And hello, everybody who's come back. Yes, our live stream has been interrupted twice now. It's on my end, and I'm going to look into it, but it's basically just a hard issue with my internet connection. I'm gonna have to actually call the company and have them come out here and take a look at things. But I see Laura has come back. Thank you so much. Imaginista, good to see you. I see our moderators have come back. I see MC Heavyset, good to see you. I know. Oh, Hope has come back. Good to see you. And Bricoletta, good to see you. I'm going to be taking all these, since our stream has been so rudely interrupted, I'm just going to take all these parts, edit them together, and then re-upload everything as a video. I think that's going to be okay. Hopefully we'll recover that way, but otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna have to look. This is just really sad. Like, last week it only happened once and it was fine, we dealt with it, but like, at this point, I'm pretty bummed out that happened, but we're okay. Anyways, we are going back to this article about why all billionaires are bad, which is something that I think is true. I just happened to find this article that I feel best describes the way I feel, and think, because frankly, in the beginning of this article, it really interestingly lays out that a billionaire is literally a policy failure within good business practice, which is more interesting than the concept of it being purely moralistic. Let's get back at her. Let's start with the one I hear the most. If you raise taxes, people won't be incentivized to innovate once they have made a certain amount of money. You can become rich by innovating, but the truth is that you don't become a billionaire by innovating and producing. You become a billionaire when you control the means for others to produce. You become a billionaire when you control and you benefit off of other people's hard labor, and not just a few people, a lot of people. That's when you become a billionaire. And that's where people get the mistake of, well, billionaires earn their way up there. They really didn't, though, because in order to achieve that much earning, you really do have to exploit other people's labor. Hands down. No, please don't be buffering. Please don't be buffering. Please do not be cutting out. Please do not be cutting it out. No, don't say buffering. That's a scary word. Is it buffering, or are we okay? Yes, so Mark says one person controlling vastly more wealth than they could possibly ever use amounts to money that is not circulating in the greater economy for their entire lifetime. That's the problem. Like, you really cannot accumulate that much money without benefiting off of the backs and hard work of other people. So you can become rich by innovating, but the truth is that you don't become a billionaire by innovating and producing. You become a billionaire when you control the means for others to produce. Firstly, just under half of all billionaires in the world inherit their wealth. They didn't innovate. Billionaires inherit their wealth. They did not innovate. And yes, Elon Musk is included into that. There is this myth that Elon Musk earned everything from the bottom up. He was born into privilege. Absolutely, 100%. The bullshit with him and his mom living off $2 a day for lunch, like whatever. He had so many benefits growing up. So many benefits. He definitely had a leg up, a big leg up. His family owned gem mines, straight up. And he went to a pristine school. He had a really big leg up in education. Okay, we're good. So yeah, firstly, just under half of all the billionaires in the world inherit their under half of all the billionaires in the world inherit their wealth. They didn't innovate. They didn't produce anything. They just won the genetic lottery. And being born into money doesn't automatically make you smarter or more innovative than others, but it does allow you to control the means of production over others who might be smarter. Darren and James, in their excellent book, Why Nations Fail, suggests a country's living standard grows most when economic systems are open and the smartest are able to rise to the top. But often, billionaires are able to get their kids into the best universities, use contacts to get them the best jobs, and pass on their companies to their kids, even if others have better attributes to do the same job. In the long run, having less than ideal people holding positions of power in the country means that the economy of the country begins to suffer. For those self-made wealthy individuals that have innovated, having a high tax rate to do away with billionaires doesn't mean those people won't innovate, nor does it mean that a capitalist county or country will just fall apart. So think of a historical America. Sorry, a little dry in the lips. Think of a historical America. A strong, successful, innovative, globally respected America. Where does your brain take you? Okay, the 1940s. After all, this is when it became the biggest military power in the world. Or the 1950s. This is when the culture began to dominate the world. Maybe the 1960s, when its financial and manufacturing prowess meant that it essentially propped up the rest of the world with aids, grants, and loans, and managed to win a space race. Well, the next time someone asks you to name a country where a big top rate of tax has worked, tell them about the United States in the middle of the 20th century. Because during those decades, the top rate of tax in the US was 90%, for much of the time reaching 94%. In those decades, in the 1940s and hovering around 92% in the 1950s. And at the end of the 1960s, the highest rate of tax was at 77%. And this was the year the United States put a man on the moon. Interesting. Did the country fall apart? Were people de-incentivized to work, to innovate? Did the rich flee the country in their thousands? Of course not. In fact, these were some of the most prosperous decades in the history of the country. It coincided with the quickest growth in GDP in the history of the United States. And US GDP slowed down around the same time the top rate of tax was reduced. And if this wasn't enough, if billionaires paid the same rate of tax now that they did in the 1950s, the US would have an additional $3 trillion to spend, which is the same as the entire budget of the US in 2008. So, in history, we see that billionaires have paid higher tax in the past, and nothing collapsed. They didn't move out of the country, nothing like that. But for some reason, we allow this very low rate and percent of tax being paid by billionaires. If we would have kept the same rates as we did in the past, we would have $3 trillion extra to spread around. But we don't, for some reason. So, number 2. Money of billionaires trickles down so everyone wins, right? So here's the thing. We all think about there's the big top rich people at the top, okay? And we have us at the bottom. And everything they earn at the top, they put into production. And then within that production, they pay us to produce. So it's like, oh, well, it trickles down, right? We eventually benefit off of billionaires. This is a myth. Let's talk about it. The money of billionaires trickles down so everyone wins, right? Wrong. Next, we move on to the reason why many governments have created an environment for billionaires to succeed. Trickle-down economics. This theory had its genesis in the 1980s with Thatcher and Reagan and sets out that tax cuts to the most wealthy spurs economic growth because billionaires and corporations are the big drivers of growth. The argument. Stop it, John. The argument goes that billionaires create companies that create jobs, and they pay more taxes, more on that below, and so everyone is better off, right? Because the billionaires are creating stuff, and the stuff needs employees, so they're creating jobs, and so people eventually benefit, right? Wrong. However, trickle-down economics has been debunked as a theory, nothing more. That looks good in textbooks, but just doesn't work in the real life. Because people don't always behave like mathematical equations. We aren't rational beings. Now, wait a minute now. Let me just pull up my britches about that. I like where this is going, but the very sentence, because, okay, so first of all, people don't always behave like mathematical equations. That's true. Even though our existence is proven through mathematical equation, we're like, we don't go beep boop or 254 and like that's how we behave. And then this next bit that says we aren't rational beings. Well, we're not being rational at the moment, but we are meant to be rational. We are rational beings. We are beings that can reason. So I feel like that little sentence, I'm just like, wait a minute, sir. Anyways, moving on. Firstly, the obvious. In order for trickle-down economics to work, the money that billionaires earn needs to stay within a community, or at least within a country. The moment it leaves the country, trickle-down economics fail. So when billionaires begin to hoard money in offshore accounts, they aren't spending it into the community. They aren't using it to innovate. They aren't paying taxes on it, and they aren't using it to create jobs. They are just sitting on big piles of cash that could be put to better use elsewhere. That's another thing I don't think people seem to think about with billionaires. They think, oh, billionaires, like American billionaires. Well, they just played their cards right, and they earned what they should have, and it's not true, because in order to accumulate that amount of money, first of all, you have to exploit the work of others. You have to benefit from the hard labor of somebody else and deprive them of a portion of that. Well, you take that benefit and they deal with less. Like, you have to do that. And then you have to take your money, which is a lot of the case with these billionaires. They take a lot of their money and they invest it out of country. So a lot of people think like, oh, the millionaire, like they're just doing the American capitalism thing. It's like, well, are they, if they're taking their money and investing it offshore in different countries' bank accounts and Swedish bank accounts, where they don't have to like do as much or accept much responsibility in that sense as they would if they kept it all in within America. So it's not really trickling down when all these rich people, in order to become richer, are starting to take their money and invest it in different countries. So let's go back. Firstly, the obvious. In order for trickle-down economics to work. In order for trickle-down economics to work, billionaires have to take all the money they earn and put it back into the country. But they're not doing that. They're investing their money overseas in different countries. So our economy isn't benefiting from them at all. They're just sitting on big fat piles of cash. The moment it leaves the country, trickle-down economics fail. So when billionaires begin to hoard money in offshore accounts, they aren't spending it into the community anymore. They aren't using it to innovate. They aren't paying taxes on it, even. And they aren't using it to create jobs. They are just sitting on big, giant, fat piles of cash. And they don't put it to good use elsewhere. A study done by Tax Research suggests that high net worth individuals from around the world have hidden... I gotta make this bigger, hold on. I'm having a hard time reading this still. Oh, that's so much better. That's so much better. I don't know if I'm getting older or what. Anyways. A study done by Tax Research suggests that high net worth individuals from around the world have hidden 11.5 trillion in offshore tax havens. In Africa, roughly 30% of the continent's wealth, of the whole continent, mind you, is hidden offshore rather than being trickled down into local communities to lift them out of poverty. They're not doing that. Africa has 30% of all of its wealth as a whole continent offshore in different countries. In the UK, the loss of tax resulting from this hoarding is about 8.5 billion each year. Put it another way, it's roughly a quarter of what the government spends on housing and the environment, so it's a massive amount. A second reason is that even the maths doesn't hold up anymore. The IMF finds that increasing the wealth of the working class and middle class grows the national economy much more than increasing the wealth of billionaires. In fact, increasing the wealth of billionaires actually reduces GDP growth in the long run. Even the person who invented the theory of trickle-down economics, Art Laffer, admits that if taxes for the wealthiest are reduced too much, then the economy suffers. So, trickle-down economics is a theory that works best on paper. It does not apply to people in real life. Many economic systems and government systems look really good when you write it on paper, but it doesn't account for humanity as a whole and the rich diversity that humanity has. Anyways, moving on. Number 3, they pay a lot of taxes. Billionaires pay a lot of taxes. Well, we should like billionaires because they pay a lot of taxes, right? This one is true. Billionaires do pay a lot of taxes, but it's only part of the picture. As we've already explored, much of the tax billionaires should be paying is hidden away in offshore accounts. So we already know that they aren't paying tax on all the money they earn. Okay? But the picture is actually worse than that. In fact, billionaires pay proportionately less tax than the middle class and the working class in the UK and the US as well. In the US, the average billionaire pays 23% in income tax compared to 28% that the average American pays. So billionaires pay 23% income tax, while people like you and me who like work a daily job, we pay 28. They pay 23, we pay 28. That doesn't make sense, right? I mean, they have significantly much more money than we do, especially in offshore accounts. Why should we be paying a higher percentage of income tax? That's worth something to be pissed about, frankly. And that's where I get irritated when a lot of people are like, well, you just don't like Elon Musk because you're jealous. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, he literally is a piece of shit that benefits way more than he should, while the rest of us have to fucking suffer and pay. Thank you very much. Ka-ching. Warren Buffett himself said that billionaires are paying proportionally less tax than the average person. It's true. What reduces the tax burden further on billionaires is that the tax rate on income is just one element of the tax system. It means that things like wealth and inheritance are relatively untouched. It brings on exactly the type of environment we mentioned on point 1. It keeps the means of production and money in an exclusive club, whether they have earned it or not. One thing that Hyperianism does stand with is 100% inheritance tax. So if you were born into a family that's billionaire status, and I don't mean millionaire status, as we've said before in the beginning of this, millionaire status doesn't interest me. Billionaire status does. And it's at that point where it's like, if you're born into that family, you should not inherit any of that asset whatsoever. And I don't mean like you're stuck with nothing. And I think that's where people are like, oh, that's so mean. Just because they're born into a rich family doesn't mean they should suffer. Okay, so you can inherit something, obviously. But you don't need to inherit that much money and just... We can't, as a human race, expect somebody that's raised in that kind of environment to actually be invested in humanity. We can only expect them to be a product of their forefathers. I'm sorry. So, the craziest thing is that some billionaires themselves are asking governments to raise taxes for them. They believe that increased taxes on their wealth will help fund health and education for all. Now, it's not all billionaires saying it, but the ones that are include Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, George Soros. Things are messed up when the people who have benefited most in the system are holding their hands up and saying, yep, this is messed up. Now, it's true, like Jeff Bezos, I mean, there are some billionaires where it's like some projects they do or are involved with do benefit humanity. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the overall concept of a billionaire, and is that beneficial for humanity or not? And the answer is no. If we simplify what's happening to 100 people on the planet, we can illustrate just how crazy the situation is. Oh yeah, let's back up. While tax rates were high on the top earners, wealth inequality was closing in on the 1970s. In the 1970s was the smallest in recorded history, but it has since widened and continues to grow. We have lived on a planet with finite resources. If we simplify what's happening to 100 people on the planet, we can illustrate just how crazy the situation is. Yes! If we can simplify what's happening to 100 people on the planet, we can illustrate just how crazy the situation is. Like, why do we have this little group of people that we're dependent on? That's insane. If at the start of 20th century those 100 people were told that there were 100 coins they had available, how angry would you be if one person decided to keep 25 for themselves because their parents were something special, or they came up with one good idea? You'd then get a few people getting to keep a couple of coins, most getting one coin, and a sizable amount with no coins at all. Now imagine half a century later, them being told another 100 coins are available due to the hard work of all. How pissed would you be if that person took another 25 coins, already owning 50 to 200 coins, while everyone else took their 2 coins or 1 coin, with some without any, with some people still not getting any coins. Imagine the cheek if that person with 50 coins turns around and says, well, most of you had 1 coin before, you now have 2 or even 3 coins. The system works, see? Your living standard has improved. How mad would you be if you put in a bunch of work that person didn't? They have like 50 coins, and they're saying, well, you have like 2 more coins, so you're making more money, right? So you shouldn't be bothered about anything at all. It's just taking things down into a ratio you can understand. When a billionaire makes so much money, okay, let's say for example it's like 50 coins, and you only get like 1 coin or 2 coins, and over the course of time that person earns another 50 coins, you've worked harder than they have, and you've only earned 2 more coins, and this person is saying, but you earned a couple more coins since the time that you only had 1 coin, so you shouldn't be mad, right? Because you have more coins. It's like, well, yes, I have more coins, but no, I'm not happier because you have 50 more coins when I just have 1 more coin. And there's no reason for you to have 50 more coins. Anyways. People would be swinging limbs, right? Swinging limbs, yeah. And yet, we sit here quietly accepting it. A progressive and fair tax rate would distribute those coins more evenly. Maybe that person ends up with 25 out of 200 coins instead of 50 out of 200. Still, far more than anyone else. But others get 5 out of 6 coins, or 5 to 6 coins, and those without any coins get some too. With those 5 to 6 coins, those people are more likely to be able to innovate and create new ideas and make the whole population of 100 richer with even better living standards. Okay. Here is a 4th point of why you shouldn't think billionaires are great. Billionaires give a lot of money away. Okay, let's explore this. Again, this is a true statement. They give a lot of money away. Okay, great, but hold on a minute. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have both pledged to give away 99% of their wealth, and Mark Zuckerberg has pledged to give away most of his money. First of all, a lot of money pledged by these billionaires is never spent wisely. No one knows a local community. Why am I tripping up on my words? First of all, a lot of the money pledged by these billionaires is never spent wisely. No one knows a local community like local people and local councils. It's why when Mark Zuckerberg donated $100 million to improve schools in New Jersey, the majority of the money went on administration, like consultants, and very little actually found its way into the school systems themselves to actually benefit the children directly. Think about it. When billionaires are giving away most of their wealth, they are giving away money created in a system that benefited them. money they probably should have been paying in taxes anyways. Do you see where we're going with that? So billionaires are giving away money, but they're giving away money to perpetuate the broken system that allowed them to exist in the first place. So that's not as charitable as you think it is. Even if, like, oh, we just gave $100,000 to children in need over here. Well, it's like a lot of charitable organizations in the world are very corrupt, unfortunately. They have very fancy titles that make it sound like they're doing something good, but if you actually explore their business practices, they're very corrupt. So be very cautious about the idea that billionaires, although it is a true statement, they give away a lot of money. They give away a lot of money to perpetuate the system that helped create them. So think about it. When billionaires are giving away most of their wealth, they're giving away money created in a system that benefited them, money they probably should have been paying in taxes anyways. But they don't pay taxes like we do. They have a lot of their money invested offshore in other countries where they can avoid a lot of tax. So society might think that money needs to be spent on health or environment, but a billionaire might decide to give substantial amounts of money to Oxford University or Harvard, places that they've studied, where their money is most likely to benefit other rich students. They might decide the money is best spent supporting museums that hold stolen artifacts from around the world. And if they give enough money, they might just get a wing in the museum named after them, you know. Oh, but it's for the preservation of history, right? Yeah. Whatever. One person shouldn't have that much power. Today, they might be funding museums. Tomorrow, they could fund politicians with questionable manifestos, as they have done in the past. So, politicians such as Trump, who won presidency, was funded by, corporations, billionaires, you name it. And Donald Trump, as notorious as he is for money, did not fund his own campaign as much as people would like to think he did. Absolutely fucking not. He did not fund his own campaigns. Anyways, billionaires might argue that it's better for them to give money away than less capable people in the government. Now, I'll be the first to admit that government isn't usually led by the best and brightest. But billionaires aren't a special breed. You're either the half who inherited the wealth, or you're very good at being the one thing. And if you're good at one thing, which would be like creating and marketing and social networking, it doesn't mean you'll be good at other things, such as improving the education system, or doing more humanitarian things. Like, just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at the other thing. If you combine this with the issue around tax, the truth is the billionaires aren't giving away their money. They are giving away your money. Okay, they're not giving away their money. They're giving away your money. Okay, because you have to pay the tax. Anyways, but you have no say in how this money is spent. This is money they've earned through controlling the means of production, and money that's been allowed to grow due to the quirks of an imbalanced economic system. In a capitalistic society that has the appropriate regulation in place, more people would have a say on how this money is spent, but they don't. So, if we keep badgering the billionaires, they'll just move to a different country. When the top rate of tax was 92% in the 1950s America, the rich didn't just get up and leave. It's an easy threat to make, but much of the time they have extensive personal or business connections in their home country to not be able to do that. For example, the Duke of Westminster derives most of his wealth from land ownership in the UK. No matter where he goes in the world, the income derived from his portfolio will always come from the UK. And the studies support the fact that increasing tax on the super rich does not mean they'll leave the country they call home. 84% of the world's billionaires still live in the country of their birth. And of those that have moved, the majority moved before they became billionaires. The data just doesn't support the statement that they will leave. But the only way to guarantee that billionaires won't leave is to have a globally harmonized approach to taxing billionaires. And that's unlikely to happen. That's what we want to happen, though. That's what I want to happen. But let's say a few billionaires decide to leave. Is that really so bad? I mean, I'd say no, but ultimately I'm thinking about humanity as a whole. And not just about humanity like within my immediate vicinity. I like to think more altruistically. I mean, I like to think about myself as an individual, about self-improvement and stuff, but then I like to think about humanity as a whole and what it means for us all together, as a whole, as God. So, it's just not a problem for me to think, like, if billionaires leave the country, fine, whatever, but it's like they're there in the world, so yeah, I don't think there should be billionaires at all. Anyways, but let's say a few billionaires decide to leave your immediate country. Is that really so bad? All that does is free up space for young entrepreneurs to step up, innovate, and make wealth of their own. Okay, true, but we need to change the system, obviously. It allows for real talent to once again rise to the top. I think I'm reading this wrong. Let me back up. So I think this person who's writing the article is trying to conceptualize a world without billionaires. Okay, so all that does is free up space for young entrepreneurs to set up, innovate, or make wealth on their own. It allows for real talent to once again rise to the top, and fair taxes on wealth and inheritance will ensue that every generation and its best brightest are able to lead, innovate, and grow the economy in a way that benefits all. Okay, great. If you already thought of the notion of a billionaire was weird, then this article hopefully just reinforces that. If you hadn't thought about it before, I'd encourage you to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. But I hope this provides you with a starting point. And if you are pro-billionaire, well, if nothing else has convinced you before, I doubt this will convince you either. But what's the solution? What's fair? I said it at the start, and I'll say it again. The solution isn't to get rid of capitalism, because capitalism done right works. I think this is a whole other subject for another time. Because there are parts of capitalism where I would say works, but there's a lot of capitalism that doesn't, but I feel like they're already pointing out the parts that don't work. I'm curious as to what this actual individual that wrote the article, I'm curious to hear their idea of healthy capitalism and what that means to them. But anyways, they're saying at the moment capitalism isn't being done right. The rich are being subsidized and are able to keep the wealth spread between them. Call it socialism for the rich. Socialism for the rich? The solution to me is simple. A fair and progressive tax rate. I could write a big long conclusion, or I could link you to Rutger Bregman, who did a fantastic job of calling billionaires out in Davos, the millionaire's safe space, Devo, or whatever. A second solution is to link link founder CEO pay to the lowest paid person in the company. For example, the highest paid person can't be paid more than, say, 50 times the salary of the lowest paid person. Interesting. This could put a drag on inequality while ensuing incentives are in place for CEOs to continue growing the companies. It doesn't tackle wealth or inheritance issues, but it would be a decent start. Yeah, I mean, we have to start somewhere. A billionaire isn't an inevitability, it's a policy failure. A billionaire isn't an inevitability, it's a policy failure. That's the takeaway from this article. It's technically, by business practice, a policy failure. A failure on our part to hold the powerful to account and make the changes necessary to establish a fairer world. But it isn't too late. And I like that sentence. I like that sentence that ends on. I like that a lot. So, there you have it. There you have it, my friends. And let's see, what time is it? We got started really late because of my internet continuing to go out. So I think we're gonna touch base on Elon Musk really quick, but we're probably going to do this more next Wednesday. I gotta use the bathroom though. Hold on. Okay, so ultimately, my personal takeaway. Look, I don't care if people are making lots of money, but lots of money does have a point where you are literally royally screwing the rest of humanity over with your high money making status. Because at some point, you're going to make so much money that it literally benefits off the backs of other people's hard work. Now, there's definitely some things we can do that we can support. Limiting the amount CEOs can make is good. Holding ritually accountable by making them pay some sort of like global tax, things like that. Just stuff like that to fight back against this sort of atrocity. But what I want you to take away is the idea of billionaires being ethical and good to begin with, because where they might have personality traits or efforts that try to do good, ultimately it does not benefit humanity at all. It really doesn't. Even if they give away to a museum or this, that, or like with Elon Musk, well, he invested in a company that produces electric cars, so he's saving on, helping with the environment, right? Like, no, he's not. He's investing in something that keeps him rich. The end. And high heretical response. And like I said, I this is all inspired off of like some conversation I saw earlier, and this is not meant to call anybody out, so I hope you don't feel bad. This is just like I'm just like inspired to talk about this subject, like the concept, like, are billionaires good? Like, no, they're not. And I actually had wrestled with that idea for quite a while myself, and I had to look into it, like, well, what if, like, a billionaire, even though they inherit all their money, like, what if they're good, they do good, like, they're a good person, and they, buy a billion crayon boxes for children in need? Like, it's not enough. So, Elon Musk recently is in hot water. He's actually on trial for changing the sort of fate or influencing the stocks of Tesla by simply tweeting, like posting stuff on Twitter. And this is due to comments he made on Tesla like in 2018. And back in 2018, he made a couple of comments about what he was planning to do business-wise with Tesla, and it really royally fucked things up. Like, there was a lot of people that sold their stocks to Tesla, like, right away, because Elon Musk was, like, literally, like, tweeting crap. And, that was bad. And so that kind of birthed this new concept of, like, not only do we have billionaires, but, like, there's, like, this old school idea of billionaires where, you know, they're very old and, like, fat and very out of touch with technology and just, like, very introverted and stuff. Whereas, like, you have this sort of young version of, like, the billionaire that's, like, the Virgin Mobile sort of, like, idea. Like, so Elon Musk is on Twitter, he's a billionaire, so he's, like, young and hip and cool, and so that's great, right? And it's like, yes, but no, when you tweet bullshit about your company so much that it involves a lot of your investors dropping their money within it and then royally screwing with the value of your company. Let's see. Was it 2018 anyways? CEO Elon Musk returned to the witness stand for a third day in a California courtroom Tuesday as he testified in a class action lawsuit over his controversial funding secured tweet from 2018. It will likely be Musk's final day of testimony. Musk, Tesla, and company directors are facing a shareholder lawsuit over the tweet in which CEO said that he was thinking about taking Tesla private for $420 per share and had funding secured. Those final two words led to Musk having to forfeit his position as Tesla's executive chairman and paying millions in legal fees and fines. Musk's funding secured tweet previously prompted a civil suit by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the federal agency that protects investors. A settlement was reached in which Musk and Tesla each paid $20 million in fines, and Musk gave up his chairman title. Musk also supposed to have some of his tweets reviewed before publishing them, according to the agreement. Musk testified that he talked to executives of the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund about the money he would need to make Tesla a private company. But funding was anything but secured. Some shareholders who took action based on his tweet allege that they lost money as a result. A 9-person jury must decide if Musk bears any responsibility for the losses they incurred. Well, I think he should, especially when you haphazardly Twitter and tweet about your fucking, multi-million-dollar company. Jesus Lord. It's not a problem for me to raise money. I've done a very good job for investors, Musk said. If you do a good job for investors, they give you money. Yuck, yuck, yuck. That's anything breakthrough or brilliant to fucking state. I could have said that. If you make your investors happy, they give you more money. That's the whole fucking point of investing, you dummy. Anyways, he also said his tweet was not meant to say that Tesla would certainly be taken private, but that he felt he had the funding necessary if shareholders chose to do so. I had no ill motive. I thought I was doing the right thing to make sure that shareholders were aware of the take private proposal, Musk said. This is so bad. Musk is so dumb. Elon Musk is so dumb. I could be a better billionaire than him, and I know nothing about money. Okay. Why would you test the waters to see if it was good to take a company private, even as a proposal to your shareholders, over Twitter? Is Elon Musk not a grown-ass man? Why would you propose something? Why would you make a business proposal over Twitter? You wouldn't. That's why he's getting sued right now. Musk testified Monday that he believed he had a deal in place with with the Saudi fund, which claims to have $620 billion in assets under management as of early 2022. The lead plaintiff, Glenn Littleton, testified last week that he had lost more than 75% of his investments following Musk's funding secured tweet. Plaintiff attorney Nicholas Priot asked Musk Tuesday if he felt any regret for harm caused to the people who lost money, to the plaintiffs. And then he said, "I certainly never wanted an investor to lose money." Musk said, "If he did lose money on the base of that tweet, obviously I would be sad about that." What? We'll be sad. We'll be sad for my nuts. That doesn't bring that person's money back. That totally made a huge major fucking investment decision based on Elon Musk's tweet on Twitter. I don't know why I have to keep repeating that. Do people not get that you shouldn't be talking about business proposals on Twitter? Anyways. Musk has argued during the trial that his tweets did not cause the Tesla stock price to move higher or lower. He pointed to a time in May of 2020 when he tweeted that Tesla's stock price is too high. The stock price dropped the day of his tweet but recovered and closed the year higher than it had opened. The trial is expected to run through February 3rd, so we will be continuing to check in on this situation. So, some things that I was gonna get into other atrocities of Elon Musk, and then I was even going to watch this video that I believe Renaissance Fairy shared in our Discord server, but we got a late start, so I think we're gonna do just like a second part. We'll do an Elon Musk follow-up next Wednesday. Yeah, so next Wednesday, for Worldview Wednesday, we're going to do a follow-up with Elon Musk and where he's at with the trial. And then we're gonna do a dive more into like why he's a terrible person, and we're gonna continue the conversation about why billionaires are bad in general and we just don't need them. Billionaires no more is my hashtag, something I came up with. Billionaires no more. BNM, hashtag BNM. We're gonna do Billionaire No More Watch, Billionaire Watch next Wednesday. So, it's just unfortunate the internet cut out twice today, but that's okay, I'll figure it out. Disco Inferno, Disco Inferno. I learned through suffering. Disco Inferno. Anyways, back to Big Face. And let's close up for the evening. Again, apologies for the internet cutting out twice. I'm actually going to take all parts of the live stream and I'm going to stitch them together. And I think I'm just going to edit it up and re-upload everything into a video. And we'll still get some, the word out that way, you know, so, and I will actually look into the situation tomorrow, and hopefully I can have things rectified by Friday night chat, which is the next time we will go live. So anyways, thank you so much to our moderators, Mark and Cassie. Thank you so much. Mark actually released the third part of the Frankenstein series in his Hyperion channel, and it was really fantastic. So I highly suggest you all go check out Mark's thing. Mark, please share a link to your channel if you'd like. And Cassie, I will show you how to share a link to anything of yours you want, or if you just want to wave. I don't care. If you don't care, I don't care. So... get my eyes checked. Why am I getting my eyes checked? For what? One day. Cassie is a really good artist. You know, Cassie, it would be nice if you, like, had a hot spot for, like, a way to access all of your writing, especially. Cassie is a really fantastic writer. I said the font was too small? When? Oh, you mean when I was oh, no, I mean, like, I just made it bigger and it was fine. Thank you, though. Anyways, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today to Worldview Wednesday. Good to see you all. Crystal Mason, good to see you. Exploring the Holos, thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for agreeing with me that grape soda sucks and is inherently holding humanity back as a whole. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, and for coming, and Imaginista, thank you so much for coming, and Heretical Response, thank you for coming, MC Heavyset, Bricoletta, thank you so much for coming. Good seeing you all. Good seeing you all. And we will see you on Friday. And if you are all going to, I believe, I have no idea if Morg's going live tomorrow. I assume so. And if so, I will see you in the live chat there, the chat room. No, we had a vote. Grape soda is mathematically gross. Anyways. Good night, everybody. Take care. And Ad Astra and Disco Inferno. Good night. And I will be updating this ending credits soon. Good night, everybody.